Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Tanisha's Reading Corner podcast. I am your host, Tanisha. Tanisha's Reading podcast is dedicated to anyone who desires to make reading a daily habit as a form of self-care. To stay updated when a new podcast is uploaded, please subscribe to the channel. In addition, you can find me on Instagram at Tanisha's Reading Corner for many book recommendations and tips and tricks on how to keep reading a daily habit. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, listeners of the podcast. Thank you so much again for tuning into another episode. So you're probably surprised it's Friday. It's just not the typical day that we post podcasts. But in a creative brainstorm, I decided to add another day in which we'll be doing on the podcast. So Monday's segment was book challenge for the week. Wednesday was all about audiobooks and why they are in fact considered reading. So what I'm going to do for Fridays, from this Friday to moving onward, is I want to do another book challenge for the weekend as an added book challenge bonus, if you will. So this week's book challenge was getting a reading journal. And now, for those of you who don't know what a reading journal is, go back and listen to the book challenge from this Monday. Also, there's an more in-depth answer of what a book journal is in a previous episode. So go have a listen to that one as well. So pause this, go listen to that, then come back, and then I'll explain and tell you what the book challenge is for this weekend. Weekends are the best time for book lovers. This is the time that we're typically off work. We have more time to read. This is the time where I typically donate at least an hour and a half to reading on weekends. No lie, very true. Just because it's a great way to start the day, and it's just, I can really just lay into all my reading actually. And also I can spend more time in my reading journal. So this week's book challenge was to get a reading journal. But the challenge for this weekend is whatever book you're reading, dedicate at least some time, any amount of pages in your reading journal to that one book. And you can do this anywhere you like. It's a creative, just inspirational thing. Let me explain further. So write down in your reading journal, write down the title, obviously the author, the day that you're reading it, how far you read through, any characters that you like, any characters that you don't like, storylines, family trees, if there's a very complicated family tree, or whatever's in that book that really sparks your interest. Make a creative picture or layout or outline, whatever it is, and just do it in your reading journal. So that way you get in the habit of not just having it, but actively using it for your reading. Trust me, it will enhance your reading. It will make reading more fun because you're engaging with what you're reading. And all that, again, I'm a broken record, I'm going to keep saying this, all these things just to help make reading a daily habit, to help support your mental and your health care. All right, that's all I wanted to say. I thank you again. In the car. And on that note, I thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Tanisha's Reading Corner podcast. Thank you for coming back. And this season, we're going to dive more into some audiobooks, but also into biographies, autobiographies. This season, also we're talking more about tips and tricks, as always, keeping reading a daily habit. So stay tuned on Mondays for the weekly book challenge, and then on Wednesdays for your Deep and Dive podcast episode. So again, thank you. Please, if you love this episode, share with family and friends. Please rate wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever your podcast. And I'll follow at Tanisha'sReadingCorner.com, which is the website, and also on Instagram at Tanisha's Reading Corner. And wishing you all good wellness and good reading. Have a good day.